What's good, family? It's your man the YB, back once again. So, as you've seen by the title, I just got off the blower to one of my contacts deep inside the Showtime, and even one Don who knows Terence Crawford very well, and it's not good news. It's not even a little bit of good news. I've been hearing for a while, even though this video kinda late, ain't gonna lie to you, I've been sitting on this video, posted up, waiting. This video been posted up somewhere, waiting. I just thought I'd sit back and what's going on. Every week or so I've been making videos. Steven Espinosa come out. Oh yeah, we're not really sure. 50-50 right now. Spence come out. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Then got a video coming soon. Spence 2 days ago said, oh, the fans need to move on and the fans need to get over this fight and all this kind of weird behaviour. So to be honest, my initial, truth be known, you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. This video is about what I've heard about Terence Crawford, but my main theory was that both men ultimately will be happy for the fight not to happen. Because we're not hearing no one exposing anything. Do you understand? Why isn't either side coming out and explaining what the sticking point is? Don't forget, Steven Espinosa said, I can't tell you what the sticking point is because I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to... We know what fighters are like. Fighters have huge egos. And if Espinosa comes out and says, oh, Crawford wants more than he's worth, we know Crawford going to throw his toys out the pram. Now what I will say is, that in itself is evidence that Crawford is the issue. Why? We know Errol Spence has been Team Showtime, Team PBC for 10 years. So why would he be the issue for? Espinosa's been making deals with Errol Spence for donkey's years. They have a strong relationship. I don't see how that would be the issue. The issue is the newcomer. And in my world, there's no smoke without fire. And there's been way too much smoke about Crawford being a bit of a diva. And believing because he's skillful, because he's undisputed at 140, that means something when it comes to splits. It doesn't, people. You have to get over that. It's got nothing to do with how good you are at boxing, how many fights you've won, what belts you've got. That's not how numbers are determined. I mean, look at Floyd and Pacquiao. Pacquiao was a huge pay-per-view star in his own right, and still he accepted 40%. Do you understand? I've got clowns, Terence Crawford, budmosexuals. Yeah, listen, there's budmosexuals telling people things like, Errol Spence, if he wants his fight, he does need to accept 50-50. Terence Crawford undisputed at 140. Terence Crawford beat Sean Porter better than Errol Spence did. All these kind of weird ass arguments, ain't no one care about that. Pacquiao beat De La Hoya better than Floyd did. Pacquiao beat Ricky Hatton or something like that, one of them ones. What does that mean? Nothing. Ultimately, Pacquiao accepted a 40% split, and that was a man, Pacquiao, who had sold over 1 million pay-per-views in his own right. Meanwhile, Crawford, Mr. 50,000 pay-per-views, Mr. Bob Arum, has lost money on Crawford. Facts. That's a fact, people. And I'm sorry, but look at Crawford's behaviour. He's suing Bob Arum. He believes he's been done wrong. All we know is, look at the evidence. We've all seen Terence Crawford's purses. He got like 5 mil to fight Kell Brook. 5 mil to fight a washed up Kell Brook. Bob Arum paid him. And people telling me that he's been done wrong. Honestly, Terence Crawford's one of the most overpaid fighters in history. He's actually been inversely, discriminated against. Terence Crawford, because of his skills, the reason Bob Arum, paid Crawford so much, the reason Bob Arum invested so much in Crawford, despite the money never coming back, was because of his skill. Do you understand? If Terence Crawford weren't no good, Bob Arum wouldn't have been paying him 5 mil for a Kell Brook fight. No way. Another 5 mil we got. or another 6-7 mil or something like that for the Amir Khan fight. Them numbers, people, are bigger than fighters who are doing 300,000 bucks. People like Errol Spence are barely making that. Look at the Fury versus Deontay Wilder fight. Fury versus Deontay Wilder. The first, both of them two, it was like 4 and 5 million guaranteed. Crawford making the same amount, fighting and washed up Amir Khan. And them guys doing 300,000 pay-per-views. Crawford doing a fraction of that. He is overpaid. But unfortunately, what does that do to a man? A man who has been treated that way, i.e. paid a lot and not delivered much back, that creates an attitude of entitlement. Now listen, I don't care. Listen, if Crawford can get 50%, great for him. But what we're not going to do, we're not going to allow irrational behaviour to get in the way of this fight. I'm not going to allow it. Listen, if Errol Spence came out here and was prepared to cuck himself, if Errol Spence came out and said, I don't care about percentages, do it at 50-50, fine. I'm not going to sit here and count people's money. But if Errol Spence is saying, I'm not doing it at 50-50, he's right to do that. Because it's irrational. If I was advising Errol Spence, and the only way the fight happened was 50-50, it wouldn't happen if I was advising Errol Spence on principle. Look at the precedent. Floyd Mayweather Pacquiao, 60-40. Wilder versus Fury, 60-40, the first fight. There's a whole bunch of examples. Big fights, 60-40, for the man who's the bigger name and or the bigger champion. Errol Spence has 2 belts and he does pay-per-views and he sells out Texas things. Terence Crawford's renowned for not selling out nothing. Renowned for not doing no pay-per-views. Do you understand here? But look at his attitude. He's suing Bob Arum for what? You're suing... what? Think about the mentality of a man who sues a man who paid him 7 million to fight a washed up Amir Khan. That is a daylight robbery in my book. Anyone making 5 mil in Terence Crawford's position, where he's like a boxing god, for a boxing god to be paid 5-6 mil to fight a bum washed up Amir Khan, that's a robbery. Complete robbery. He should be literally on his knees sucking Bob Arum off, in my opinion. Bob Arum's done God's work for Terence Crawford, and instead he's suing him. That's what entitlement does. Bob Arum should have said, listen Terence, you're a great talent, but your numbers are suck. You best start making some controversy and or selling more numbers. I ain't putting my hand in my pocket no more. That's what he should have said. And at that point, Terence Crawford would have learnt the value of $1. He'd have learnt to be grateful. Instead, I don't know what it is. Bob Arum, I guess Bob Arum was hoping at some point Terence Crawford's talent would flip into that Mayweather thing. That's what I think it was for Bob. Bob thought, you know what? Yeah, it's costing me 4, 5, 6 mil here and there, but at some point, because of his skill, he will transcend and get to that Mayweather 100, 200, 300 mil. That's what I believe Bob was thinking. He was thinking at some point it's going to switch and then we're going to be making 100, 200 mils, and those 4, 5, 6 mil paydays that I've lost, you know what I mean? It's all going to be worth it at the end. That's what it was, 100%. There's no other explanation for it. Unfortunately, Bob somewhat naively doesn't understand. Doing 500 or doing big million pay-per-views is all about this. Although Bob may have looked at people like Canelo and said, well, Canelo isn't a big talker. He does big numbers. Then again, Canelo is Mexican. If Terence Crawford was Mexican, he would be doing Canelo numbers, but he's not. And that's the end of that. And the reason I've explained this all to you is to say it all adds up. And unfortunately, what it means is this guy, he don't know no bounds. He's never been told no. He's never been actually put in his place. Yes, you're a great boxer, but boxing don't keep the lights on. Boxing don't pay the purses. If someone should have told Terence Crawford, Terence, you're not getting paid 6 mil to fight Kell Brook. You're getting paid $1 million because you're not bringing in no numbers. At which point he would have then clocked, you know what, numbers matter. But Bob Arum, for whatever reason, never made that clear to him. And that's why now he's out here posting up. Oh, I want 50-50. I'm worth 50-50. Based on what? Well, I'm suing Bob Arum. You know what I'm saying? A man who can sue Bob Arum, yeah, after what he's given Terence, it tells you all you need to know about the man. Now, I'm not Terence Crawford talking about, oh, he racist. I ain't trying to hear that. Yeah? A man who's paid that much money to you, and a man, let's not forget people, Terence Crawford has re-signed with Bob. I remember back in 2015, when the whole Terence Crawford and Spence thing began. It was like 2016 and Terence Crawford's contract was up for renewal again. And people were saying, oh, Terence is going to leave Bob and we can get the fight finally. Guess what? He re-signed with Bob. This big you know what I mean, this man who's discriminating against him, but he re-signed like 2 or 3 times. Oops. Oh, you're being really discriminated against, right? No. And why do you think that is? Why do you think Terence kept signing with him? It's because he couldn't believe his luck. He couldn't believe he was making $6 million to beat up an old washed up Amir Khan. I don't know what it is about Bob with this situation. Bob's normally quite frugal. He got played on this one. And what that means is Crawford now, he living on another planet. He don't understand, he hasn't got a clue what's really going on. And that's why he thinks he can post up and make stupid demands like 50-50. Unbelievable. So yeah, there you go, there's the whole story. And the backstory is, end of the day, people have been telling me this. He want 50-50. That is the stepping stone. Yeah, Espinoza can sit here and tell you, well, listen, we know, what else is it going to be? I said the other day, think about it. If it's not the split, what's it going to be? Do you think Terence Crawford or Errol Spence is struggling to work, or do you think they're arguing about the venue? No. Of course it's the purse. Now what I will say is, I started the video off saying, listen, we can never be sure who it is, but the smoke and the fire is Crawford. However, Errol Spence, he came out and told the fans to leave him and Crawford alone. That got me worrying. Like, what? Leave you and Crawford alone? What is this? Are you friends now then? What is that about? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking now, it's just odd. Why isn't Errol Spence coming out and saying, yeah fans, I want this fight too, but certain men are playing games? I'm not even saying that Errol Spence should have come out and aired out Crawford, but why couldn't he say a little hint like that? Oh yeah, I know you fans are excited for it, but certain men are playing games. That's all he had to say, some sort of indirect, which would let us know that Crawford playing games. Instead, he comes out and says fans should get a life. Fans should stop. Honestly, he said something along the lines of fans need to spend more time worrying about their own lives and not 2 other men's. It's a shame you don't think that when you're selling your pay-per-views, isn't it? Yeah? Oh, but when it's time for you to sell pay-per-views, you don't want people to focus on their own lives. Clown. Anyway, there we are. End of the day, I think Spence is quite happy. I think ultimately Spence is quite happy for Crawford to carry on with his 50-50, because it means, well, great. It means I don't have to fight Crawford, which is quite happy to, you know what I mean? Bottom line. Because if Errol Spence wasn't happy for the fight not to happen, he'd be out raging right now. I can't believe Crawford. He a clown. He a bitch having ass dude. He's scary. He ain't doing that. So it is what it is. Time will tell. No doubt.